that make teams thrive and also make great teams. Some of them could include vision, clarity, great communication, accountability, trust, great feedback loops, leadership support, and others. I don't know if what are your thoughts, and you could share that in the chat. Is there anything that comes to you that you think would be an ingredient for a great team? Please feel free to share that in the chat. But today we are looking at focusing on one of the most critical ingredients in our experience that makes great teams, and that is psychological safety. We have actually seen in our experience that where there is psychological safety, teams excel and teams also thrive. Ah, Diana, I can see there synchrony. Why don't you unmute and just tell us a little bit more about what that looks like, what exactly you see it to be, and what it looks like on a team.
Yeah, sure. For me, a synchronized team is a winning team. For me, this looks like everyone has the clarity of what they're supposed to do, their role, and then now when everyone does their bit, at an individual point, they don't know that they are part of a bigger gear wheel system. But at the end of the day, when the task is done or the project is done, then the synchrony, if everyone has done their part the way they should have, the synchrony, the beauty of the synchrony is seen in the end game.
Okay, wonderful. And I totally agree with that, Diana. And actually, you will see that people being able to do their part comes out well if there is psychological safety. Yeah, and we will actually see that a little bit deeper. And I'll come back to ask if you're seeing it more with high levels of psychological safety, even as we get deeper into that. And what we see in many teams today, the reality that many leaders are going through or working with is that there is conflict. They would like for things to go well, and in some teams, there may be less conflict, but in certain teams there is a lot of conflict going on, and this then slows the workflows. This creates tension with people. Then there's also the issue of disengagement. We have people who are there, but they're really not engaged in what is happening. This drains energy from the leaders, energy also of the participants. This also reduces productivity. We also see people going through misalignments, and this then results in ends up having results that are not as good as they should be, and also stalls the progress of teams. Then we also see people who are disconnected. And when people are disconnected, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And like you had said, Diana, people are all then not doing or playing their parts. And ultimately, this then affects the customer interactions with the teams, and also ultimately the revenue and the results of the teams. So looking at these, and let's think about even the four that we have here. What do you see often? And I know, Diana, you've worked where you're working and you've worked in other places. What are some of the things that you've seen, either what is here or something that is different?
I think for me, classic is disengagement and misalignment. The disengagement where I think I have experienced where a team member either they know they are part of the bigger team, they know what they're supposed to do, but they end up working either in a silo, they do a silo approach in their work. And then that means the rest of the team cannot chip in or cannot hear from what they are doing, and then align it to where their point of where their task is at the whatever level. And then now it disorients the entire system. So for me, those two are a classic: disengagement and misalignment.
Aha. Disengage the entire team is what I've heard you say. And you can imagine the impact that would have. First, on the customers, internal and external, and then finally on the results of the team and even the results of the organization. And therefore, it does matter. Even as you're saying, the team dynamics really shape performance. There's also the issue of things that drive success. People would need to be aligned. There would need to be clarity. There would need to be a vision. People would need to be feeling accountable. And there is need for trust amongst the team members. Then it actually flows into success that is seen in the performance of the team. Now, research has actually shown that psychological safety is one of the most important enablers of high performing teams. We're going to consider Google's Project Aristotle. And this is not to say that some of the things that we will discuss here are not happening in our space. But what we have seen, because even some of the organizations we've worked with and we've trained, we've actually seen them moving from a place where there was very little psychological safety. And we've seen them work on this, and they've been very good levels of the same, and they're actually seeing great results. What we're seeing in our market, this is in Kenya and in Africa, is that we do not document our stories. We don't document what is happening in our spaces, and we do not share the learnings. So we do need to do that a little bit differently. But having said that, let's get a little deeper understanding of what exactly psychological safety is. Now, according to Amy Edmondson of the Harvard Business Review, psychological safety is a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for taking interpersonal risks, that they can take these risks within a team. This is basically an environment where people feel safe to be able to speak up and work with others without any fear. When it exists, it builds trust, it builds creativity, it builds collaboration, and it at the end result is better performance, higher performance, achieving the results and the goals and the objectives of the team. Now, it is not the only factor, but it is a clear foundation. Without psychological safety, it doesn't matter what it is you have, a good strategy, the best of skills, the best of resources, you will not be able to get success, and especially sustained success. Yeah, think about a team where you have people who have very good ideas, but they're not able to voice those ideas. You can't then realize those ideas because people feel that they're not able to bring up or share, or they think you would not listen to them, or they may think that they may be judged, or a team where they cannot question what is being done. So really, psychological safety has a big part to play. Now, I'd like us to get a little bit deeper and explore psychological safety a bit more. In our understanding of psychological safety, even as we have worked with it and continue to help teams build in the same, we've realized that it's important to consider these four dimensions of psychological safety. One, do I feel like I belong to a team? If I feel like I belong to a team, I actually feel that this is my team. So it becomes then my obligation to build and bring my best to the team and make sure that this team succeeds. So that is what we're calling inclusion safety. Then we have what is called learner safety, where I'm part of a team, but I feel on this team, I can grow. I can question things. I can, if I do make a mistake, I can learn from the mistake and I can grow. I can work with others. I can sharpen myself. I can learn from my colleagues, and all of us can grow. And this is what we are calling, this is what is called learner safety. This is where we all can grow. Then there's another dimension where we feel that I am part of this team. I have something to bring to this team. I have value in me and I can bring that to this team. I can contribute. I can make a difference. And I can work with others. Even if an idea is not mine, I can work with the others so that we can make this idea work. And at the end of it all, make this team work and achieve its goals. And that is contributor safety. And then there is also another dimension which is really key, which means I can come and actually critically look at what it is we're doing on this team and question it to make sure that we're doing the right things. This is where just because I'm asking questions, I'm not looked at as somebody who is challenging. I'm not looked at that as a negative person, but actually somebody thinks about my questions deeply and actually realizes that I have a reason why I'm asking, that I can challenge what is being done because we can do it differently. I'm seeking to understand, I'm seeking to make sure that we bring the best out of it. So these are the four dimensions of psychological safety. So having looked at this, is there any that stands out for anyone here? Any and why do you think or why do you feel it stands out for you? I'd like to hear from us.
If I could go, I think inclusion safety for me is the star because
Mm-hmm,
it gives a sense of ownership.
mm-hmm,
And the sense of ownership always leads to taking, you're whatever the task is, you're wearing it on your sleeve. Your heart is on your sleeve. So for
uh-huh,
me, inclusion safety is just a stab, and it works for me many times.
mm-hmm,
Once I understand the vision and once part of the team, and
mm-hmm,
I get to own the task and the teammates and everything all together,
mm-hmm,
I that sense of inclusion goes a
mm-hmm,
long way in helping me achieve my tasks and achieve what the end goal looks like. And then second to that would be learner safety. That one is also a
okay,
big one because you're not afraid of making mistakes. You
mm-hmm,
know your teammates and even the team leader is there just to encourage and
mm-hmm,
empathize and as well
mm-hmm,
as just guide. So those would be
mm-hmm.
my top two.
Okay, wonderful. So I like the way you have put it, Miss Malenge. First, you say inclusion safety is your star, and I like the choice of words, your star. Yeah, so I want you to think back. Think about a team where you felt included. How did that affect your results? And I'd like you to think back to a place where probably you didn't feel included. How did that affect your outcomes? I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Let me recall times where I had challenges with inclusion.
Mm-hmm,
Oh yeah, that was a struggle. I've
mm-hmm,
just recalled a case in point. Uh,
yes.
For me, that was a struggle each day,
Mm-hmm.
and how it affected my work was it felt it felt like the adopted child kind of a syndrome where
Okay.
this one's take matters and this
Mm-hmm.
one's take doesn't matter or
Mm-hmm.
is the least. So
Mm-hmm.
just the team and also I think one of the things that led to that is I came into a team that was already running
Mm-hmm.
minus me and where the role that I was coming into
Mm-hmm.
um, was being occupied by someone much older than me. So I
Mm-hmm.
came in and I was young, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
it meant it was unmatched grafting. So
Okay.
every time I struggled with passing ideas,
Mm-hmm.
passing strategies, or even
Mm-hmm.
just putting together concepts and sharing with the rest of the team and the rest of the team, just
Mm-hmm.
considering the thoughts that I had to share.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was one time where inclusion not
Mm-hmm.
being not being embraced affected my work because uh, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like my contribution was besides the point. And then at some point, I
Ah,
even just stopped contributing altogether.
ah,
And then
okay.
a time where inclusion
Mm-hmm.
was really embraced.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it the opposite of the adopted child syndrome or the unwanted child syndrome
Mm-hmm.
felt it almost felt unfair, or
Mm-hmm.
it felt like what do we call this syndrome? This syndrome where you feel like you are pretending to be someone else. It almost felt like that because you're wondering, I'm from this place where it was
Mm-hmm.
always hostile, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore my presence there was just to. At the end of the day, it ended up looking like I'm just passing time. And then now these people want to
Mm-hmm.
hear what you have to say. And what you
Uh-huh.
say actually gets to the table, it
Uh-huh.
gets to the decision makers. And
Mm-hmm.
now it builds up on what the vision is, and then it makes impact. And then I wanted to do more of that. And then I wanted to contribute more. I wanted the vision of the organization to,
Mm-hmm.
to, be, to thrive even more. So those were two completely different opposites.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. You can imagine the difference that is just made by something like being included. And you've used some powerful words. In one case, you're feeling like a foster child. Uh, and in another case, you're actually feeling like you're part of the family. And look at the difference in results. I can't I can't overemphasize it. And what you have shared then just really brings everything home to show truly psychological safety works, and it also affects how we feel while we're in the team, but also affects the results that we bring, and also then finally the results of the team. Thank you very much for sharing that. So now I'd like us to get into the first case study, Project Aristotle. And even as we're looking at this, remember I have said we're using this because we do not have um, good documented stories. Now, Google actually studied 180 teams for over 2 years, and they discovered that team climate actually mattered more than the team composition. So you could have really big stars in a team, but they're not performing as they're supposed to. It was the climate of the team. So if you had a very good climate, even if they were average performers, they're able to perform much better. Now, while clarity, structure, and dependability did matter, psychological safety in these 180 teams consistently emerged as the strongest enabler of teams. Now, high safety teams achieved higher revenue. They were faster in innovating, and they also retained their talent better. Now, let's look at inclusion safety in this team. Team members feel that they belong to a group and they're included. And Diana has said this very well. They're included and they actually feel that they're valued members of that particular group. Yeah, inclusion safety actually encourages equal participation in meetings, even as Ms. Malenge demonstrated, and it removes cliques and language that is exclusive in the workplace. You can imagine there are times we have certain people on the team who may not talk much. They have a different sort of personality. But if we do not include them, if we do not seek out what they want to say, then they may feel that they're not included and may keep their ideas to themselves, then keeping some very good things from the team. Inclusive teams listen better and as a result build stronger connections, first of all, within themselves. This finally then trickles down to the customers and the other people, the other stakeholders. And if we look a little bit at learner safety, um, team members feel safe when they ask questions and they are answered, when they are recognized, when they make mistakes, they are allowed to look at the mistakes and learn from the mistakes. And also, they are able to give feedback to others, but also receive feedback. Many times we want to give feedback, but we do not want to receive feedback. And where there is learner safety, both of these are done. You can find somebody has made a mistake on a team, and when they are allowed to see what it is they did, then they even asked, what could you do differently? Next time, what will you do differently? Or what have you learned from this? And how will you stop this from happening? They actually grow as opposed to just being told off and left there. Yeah, mistakes are normalized and become learning opportunities. Teams that learn freely actually adapt faster. And as they adapt faster, they're better able to meet customer needs and also improve on what it is we're then offering customers. So that is learner safety. Then we have contributor safety. This is where team members feel confident that they can bring their best. Yeah, they have a skill, they are good at doing something. Many times we have people working with us, and sometimes we don't even know some of the things that they can do. We give them a job description when they came, and we are just looking at what it is they're able to do on that job description, not realizing that there is so much more that they're able to bring. We've actually asked questions sometimes in our sessions, and you'd find many times people would say that their employer is only using 30% of the skills that they have. Some of them would say an employer is using only 50% of what I have. And we're even asking the other skills that you have, do you still feel that they could contribute to what your team is doing? And they say yes. So can you imagine you have a resource, it is already on board, it's a resource that is being paid for, a resource that is in the team, and we're not making use of it. So we really need to cultivate contributor safety. This allows people to own the work and also make and bring their best contribution. Empowered contributions will actually help to foster oneness in the team, owning of projects, and ultimately customers will actually get the best. Stakeholders will enjoy the best out of each individual member when we have contributor safety. Then we have challenger safety. This is where people do not fear questioning the status quo. They can actually come and ask you, but really, you've asked us to do the recording in this manner. Why are we actually doing it like this? And they feel safe enough to be able to say that. And here I say we need to create the environment that allows that and also encourage people to question. This is where we are welcoming people to question, to debate, and to actually challenge what is being done. When we challenge the status quo, this would then allow people to be innovative and bring things that would allow us to do what it is we do best. Where we are serving customers, we're able to do the best for the customer. And that at the end is actually allowing us to excel and always be ahead. Let's look at a second case study, and this is Microsoft. This was Microsoft's transformation, where they actually challenged the culture that they had, and they moved from a culture that was more about a know-it-all culture to learning it all. And don't we have those instances where we have people who actually know everything? Yeah, and we're saying that it's important that we do a shift. There's Satya Nadella, who joined Microsoft. Now, before she came on board, Microsoft actually had a know-it-all culture. Where there are individuals who just felt they knew everything that needed to be known, and therefore there was no growth. Nobody could challenge anything, nobody could question. But Nadella came in and she actually shifted that mindset and cultivated more a learn it all mindset. This is where there was more psychological safety. People could actually come and challenge. People could come and question things. People could come and share, bring in their ideas. People could come and challenge each other and grow. As she did this, the result was that there was higher engagement, there was also stronger collaboration, and there was a surge in revenue. Combined with clear strategy, accountability, this particular psychological safety and a learn it all culture actually drove higher engagement from team members. It drove better collaboration, and also at the end of it all, resulting in revenue growth. So, having looked at those two case studies, the Google one and the Microsoft one, and looking deeper at the dimensions of psychological safety, what comes to your mind? Are there any thoughts that come to your mind? Are there any questions or concerns? I'd like to hear from us.
I feel that I see that in both case studies, at the very end of the game, at the end game, goes back to conversion. It converts. Having a functional team converts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And you can imagine, ideally, that is what everybody is looking for. And we're doing so many things to try and get there. And you can see psychological safety ended up being a great contributor into conversion. Yeah, really making sure that we're doing right. And that brings us then to the desire to be more customer centric. Really making sure that we're working in excellence. We're working with an excellent spirit. We're showing care for our people, but also care for the customers that we work with, care for all stakeholders. So we are then saying that when things are working well on the inside, when there is safety on the inside, psychological safety on the inside, it translates to the customers feeling safe with us, the customers then engaging more with us. And this then really is a depictor of the fact that we are truly customer centric. So you can imagine if you're leading a sales team and you're seeking to make those conversions, you're seeking to get those high numbers, the targets that you have. Looking at psychological safety, working on making it safe on the inside would translate to customers feeling safe with you, and therefore customers giving you what you're truly looking for, which is the revenue from them, which is then in turn giving you the targets that you're seeking and spending so much time on energy to get. Yeah. Teams that feel safe internally extend that trust to the customers. Now, research has shown that customer-centric cultures outperform their peers in profitability. And this is from the Harvard Business Review. So you can imagine if you do want to hit those numbers and hit them in a sustainable manner, then seek to build the culture of your team, making sure that you're bringing in psychological safety so that you can then achieve your results. Salesforce, on the other hand, has said that by embedding feedback loops, empowers teams and improves loyalty. Okay, loyalty not just of your people, but also of your customers. And therefore, we see psychological safety is actually a foundation. It is actually a foundation. We see it as a foundation, a key ingredient, alongside all the other ingredients. There could be the vision, the clarity of that vision, great communication, accountability of the teams, great trust, alignment of the teams. But we see that psychological safety is truly a key ingredient, an ingredient in building customer-centric cultures. Yeah, and we have seen that from the research, and we see a bit more on that research. We've looked at the Google project Aristotle, and here we saw, according to them, and we've looked at it a little bit deeper, psychological safety was a number one predictor of effectiveness alongside the other ingredients. So that then tells us we truly need to be looking at how we can actually build psychological safety within our teams. Amy Edmondson from the Harvard Business Review also then has been able to demonstrate that structured team interactions reduce fear of judgment and build safety. And she has done a lot of work along psychological safety. So when she says this, then we need to hear her, practice it, and see the results also on our own teams. Gallup, in the Gallup study 2017, then shared that high trust workplaces are actually 76% more engaged. We're all looking for our teams to really enjoy what they're doing, be engaged, bring their best to the workplace. Feel valued and bring the value that they have so that at the end of it all, we can benefit as a team, and ultimately our clients, our customers can also benefit. So it's important for us to really look at building that psychological safety. And finally, the Journal of Applied Behavioral Science says that team building interventions actually improve communication, they reduce conflict, and foster openness. And I always say, and I continue to say, conflict on its own is not a bad thing. How we handle conflict is what determines where the team will go. Yeah, so even where we started, and we're coming back again to say that we need to then be moving from some of the things that we're seeing that are not working in our teams to a place where our teams are performing in a beautiful way, and there's high performance in our teams. So we started by seeing conflict, persistent conflict for that matter. And like I said, we cannot avoid conflict. Actually, we should not avoid conflict, but we need to make sure that we handle the conflict well. And we've seen there that conflict slows down workflows, creates a lot of tension that is not good. But we need to bring in psychological safety, inclusion safety, where people feel that I am a member of this team, a valued member of this team, doing meaningful work in an environment of trust. Yeah. And therefore, when we do that, people will collaborate better and there will be empathy. So it's important for us to use inclusion safety to address persistent conflict. We also saw initially that there was a lot of disengagement that is being experienced, and where that is happening, it drains energy, it reduces productivity, and at the end of it all, sometimes people just leave. You can imagine you have people who really have a lot in them, but they're disengaged and sometimes actually quitting. We need to bring in learner and contributor safety that will help them to fuel growth and ownership. People really owning their results, bringing their best, and bringing the value that they have. Then we had looked at misalignment, which weakens results and really does not allow you to progress. But we are saying when we challenge, we allow people to challenge things, when we allow people to challenge the status quo, question things so that we can do things different, this then brings alignment, then helps to improve what it is we do, and also allows for innovation. Where there's disconnection, it hurts. It will hurt the team, it hurts the customers, and ultimately it hurts the bottom line. But when people come and work together, teams will perform better. They'll perform at a higher level of performance. And in all this, they put the customer first. So we've actually been able to see psychological safety will actually help us to turn pain points that we have and into performance and also into bringing the customer at the center of it all, making sure that the customer benefits and ultimately we benefit. So at this point, with everything that we have shared, what comes to your mind? Kindly unmute and just share.
Um, Please repeat, just bring back the last bit. I didn't get the last statement.
Okay, what I will say, the question I had or a
Yes,
slide?
the question that you had.
Okay. So I was saying, with everything that we have shared today, what comes to your mind in terms of psychological safety and the effect that it would have on the performance of a team, especially when you want to build a high-performing team?
Um, I um, I think with the bullets, uh, persistent conflict countered by inclusion safety,
Mm-hmm,
disengagement countered by learner and contributor safety, and
mm-hmm,
then misalignment countered by challenger safety.
mm-hmm,
For me, it's just combining these four as
mm-hmm,
a solution or as a tool
mm-hmm,
to inject into a team that is struggling with amongst many, but the highlighted points. I've
mm-hmm,
never seen it that way, but
mm-hmm,
just looking at how you have put them up on the slide, it gives me a
mm-hmm,
light bulb moment. I'm thinking, oh yeah, by the way,
mm-hmm,
if if someone would just use those three and
mm-hmm,
say they won't use anything else, say
mm-hmm,
they are a starter leader,
mm-hmm,
they would do so much more with their team as
mm-hmm,
they wait to learn more. So for me, if this would be like a starter pack for a leader leading
mm-hmm.
a project at whatever level.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can imagine bringing together people to do a project with everything else that you need to put to make that project succeed. Can you imagine if you also made sure that there was psychological safety? You have people feel included, people feel that they can learn and grow in that team, they can actually contribute their best, and they can also challenge how things are being done so that they can actually make sure that they're done better. Just imagine
Yeah,
how that can transform the results on that project.
yeah.
Hey, thank you for sharing. And that then brings us to say at Vital Solutions Africa, we actually bring this in our workshops. We deliver structured workshops that actually embed what it is we have discussed to make sure that we are strengthening the four dimensions of psychological safety, just bringing inclusion, a learner environment where people can contribute and challenge in a safe environment, resulting in trust, really working on building trust, building on how people can improve their collaboration, pulling down the silos, an environment that really focuses on the customer and also seeks them to sustain high performance. This is something that we work on even as we partner with different organizations to help them build their teams. So then we say, feel free to engage with us so that we can have a session where we can consult and bring this to you. Our details are there. We have the email. We also have our telephone numbers. And also feel free to recommend this to probably a friend, someone that you know who you feel could benefit from this. Please feel free to share with them so that we can come in, have a session, a consultation where we can discuss and see how it is we can then help them to build a team that is a high performing team where everybody brings the best that they have to the workplace, not one time, but every day. I'd like to thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our webinar. But if you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to ask.
No questions on my
Okay.
end. It was really a great learning session, and that's what I'm excited about.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Thank you very much, Dana, and we wish you well.
yeah,
Yes, Brenda,
yes,
you wish
I would
to?
like to thank you for taking us through that. Psychological safety is truly, truly key in many teams, and you have covered it beautifully. I would also like to add that we have actually published an article on this as well, the psychology of high-performing teams. So you can feel free to check out our site, vitalsolutionsafrica.com, and we will keep doing this. We keep doing this monthly basis. So we'll keep having more webinars like this. Feel free to reach us, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Dana, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, and looking forward to the next sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.